His students believe him to be a great teacher. His colleagues believe him to be a servant of God.
Are you a mean servant of God?
Yet, we have uncovered the truth of the madman known as Eric Buell. Join me tonight in unraveling the mystery surrounding this enigmatic and dangerous individual who has left a trail of bodies in his ever-turbulent wake. The man they would later call the Psychopath. Born April 14th, 1982, in the small secluded town of Troy, New York, Eric Buell was the third of 5 children. His childhood was marked by abuse from his older siblings and his inability to cope with super middle child syndrome. Eric's proclivity to violence manifested itself early on in life through wrestling. It started when he saw his first flying kick. Of course, he was on the other side of it.
Kick the baby.
But it changed his life forever. Instead of Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, he spent his formative youth watching Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. But it was the Superfly Jimmy Snuka who gave him the most important advice of his childhood.
But you got to remember one thing, brother. The only thinking that we're gonna do, brother, is right inside there.
He would later meet Snuka, who taught him his first finishing move, the Superfly Splash. During his brief stint as a Hare Krishna, he quenched his violent tendencies by entering spelling bees and practicing his lightsaber techniques. But that could not contain the growing beast within his soul.
You didn't get any Valentines because nobody sent you any.
A failure with girls.
Here, Lucy, this is for you. Happy Valentine's Day!
His middle school life was marked by ridicule and more abuse, this time from his peers. It was then that his life took that fateful step, and after a terrible back rub, he struck back. His bloodlust was born. Scoffing that the wrestling team at his high school was fake, he joined the football team where he could hone his true wrestling skills. An attempt to tame the maniac that was growing inside him. He would later go on to the University of Notre Dame, where, like every other loser, he would join the marching band. He also tried to bury his anger in choir and theater. His performances were deemed eccentric, Kaufman-esque, and just plain disturbing. And with every taunt, every criticism, his madness festered. He graduated, though a cloud of suspicion hung over his entire college career. Eric Buell eventually fled to Skid Row, where he sought to hide his insanity amongst the homeless. And like all weirdos, he collected strange pets, like exotic plants. For a time, he was finally happy. But his happiness would not endure. After another terrible back rub knocked him out, his dark passenger awoke. He went on a killing spree that left 3 dead and the survivors with unanswered questions that would haunt them in their nightmares. His rampage continues. He has strangled, poisoned, smeared, and bludgeoned his way across America. It is even believed that he had a hand in the death of Jesus. Yes, that Jesus. Don't let his man of God routine lull you into a sense of false security. He is waiting, lurking in the darkness, and when you least expect it, he is going to roundhouse kick you in the face, and the last thing you will see is him standing over you naked with a knife to your throat. You'll have to ask him about that one.
Those were the good old